Water is life. This simple truth resonates deeply across cultures and throughout history. In arid regions, this reality is even more profound. Rain, a gift from the heavens, holds the power to sustain life, nourish crops, and quench the thirst of the land. For the people of Arabia, where scorching sun and vast deserts dominate the landscape, rain has always been a blessing of immense value. In the Islamic tradition, rain is recognized as a sign of God's mercy and compassion. It is a tangible manifestation of divine providence, a reminder of the delicate balance that sustains life on earth. The Quran, the holy book of Islam, speaks of rain in numerous verses, emphasizing its importance and the divine power behind it. The Istisqa prayer. In times of drought and hardship, when the heavens seemed closed and the earth parched, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, would turn to God in supplication, seeking his mercy in the form of rain. This special prayer for rain, known as Istisqa, is a beautiful example of the Islamic tradition of seeking divine intervention in times of need. It is a collective act of humility, acknowledging human dependence on a higher power. The Istisqa prayer is not merely a plea for rain, it is a spiritual practice that encourages introspection, repentance, and a deepening of faith. It is a reminder that true sustenance comes not just from physical nourishment, but also from spiritual connection with the Creator. Volume 2, Book 17, number 119, narrated by Abbas bin Tamim's uncle, the Prophet, p.b.u.h, went out to offer the Istisqa prayer and turned and put on his cloak inside out. Volume 2, Book 17, number 120, narrated by Abu Huraira. Whenever the Prophet, p.b.u., lifted his head from the bowing in the last rak'ah, he used to say, "O Allah, save Ayyash bin Abi Rabia. O Allah, save Salama bin Hisham. O Allah, save Walid bin Walid. O Allah, save the weak faithful believers. O Allah, be hard on the tribes of Mudar and send famine years on them, like the famine years of Prophet Joseph." The Prophet further said, "Allah, forgive the tribes of Gifa and save the tribes of Islam." Abu az-Zinad, a sub-narrator, said, "The Qunut used to be recited by the Prophet in the Fajr prayer." Volume 2, Book 17, number 121, narrated by Masruq. We were with Abdullah, and he said, when the Prophet saw the refusal of the people to accept Islam, he said, "O Allah, send famine years on them for 7 years, like the 7 years of famine during the time of Prophet Joseph." So famine overtook them for 1 year and destroyed every kind of life, to such an extent that the people started eating hides, carcasses, and rotten dead animals. Whenever one of them looked towards the sky, he would, imagine himself to, see smoke because of hunger. So Abu Sufyan went to the Prophet and said, "O Muhammad, you order people to obey Allah and to keep good relations with kith and kin. No doubt the people of your tribe are dying, so please pray to Allah for them." So Allah revealed, "Then watch you for the day that the sky will bring forth a kind of smoke plainly visible. Verily you will return to disbelief. On the day when we shall seize you with a mighty grasp." 44.10-16. Ibn Masud added, "Al-Batsha, that is grasp, happened in the Battle of Badr, and no doubt smoke, Al-Batsha, Al-Lizam, and the verse of Surat Ar-Rum have all passed." Volume 2, Book 17, number 122, narrated by Abdullah bin Dinar. My father said, "I heard Ibn Umar reciting the poetic verses of Abu Talib, and a white person, that is the Prophet, who is requested to pray for rain and who takes care of the orphans and is the guardian of widows." Salim's father, Ibn Umar, said, "The following poetic verse occurred to my mind while I was looking at the face of the Prophet, p.b.u.h, while he was praying for rain. He did not get down till the rainwater flowed profusely from every rufji utter, and a white person who is requested to pray for rain and who takes care of the orphans and is the guardian of widows." And these were the words of Abu Talib. Volume 2, Book 17, number 123, narrated by Anas. Whenever drought threatened them, Umar bin al-Khattab used to ask Al-Abbas bin Abdul Muttalib to invoke Allah for rain. He used to say, "O Allah, we used to ask our Prophet to invoke you for rain, and you would bless us with rain, and now we ask his uncle to invoke you for rain. O Allah, bless us with rain." 1. And so it would rain. Volume 2, Book 17, number 124, narrated by Abdullah bin Zaid. The Prophet turned his cloak inside out on Istisqa. Volume 2, Book 17, number 125, narrated by Abdullah bin Zaid. The Prophet went towards the Musalla and invoked Allah for rain. He faced the Qibla and wore his cloak inside out and offered 2 rakat. Volume 2, Book 17, number 126, narrated by Sharik bin Abdullah bin Abi Namir. I heard Anas bin Malik saying, on a Friday a person entered the main mosque through the gate facing the pulpit while Allah's apostle was delivering the khutbah. The man stood in front of Allah's apostle and said, "O Allah's apostle, the livestock are dying and the roads are cut off, so please pray to Allah for rain." Anas added, Allah's apostle, p.b.u.h, raised both his hands and said, "O Allah, bless us with rain. O Allah, bless us with rain. O Allah, bless us with rain." Anas added, "By Allah, we could not see any trace of cloud in the sky, and there was no building or a house between us and the mountains of Sila." Anas added, "A heavy cloud like a shield appeared from behind it, that is Sila mountain. When it came in the middle of the sky, it spread and then rained." Anas further said, "By Allah, we could not see the sun for a week." Next Friday, a person entered through the same gate, and at that time, Allah's apostle was delivering the Friday's khutbah. The man stood in front of him and said, "O Allah's apostle, the livestock are dying and the roads are cut off. Please pray to Allah to withhold rain." Anas added, Allah's apostle, I raised both his hands and said, "O Allah, round about us and not on us. O Allah, on the plateaus, on the mountains, on the hills, in the valleys, and on the places where trees grow." So the rain stopped and we came out walking in the sun. Sharik asked Anas whether it was the same person who had asked for the rain the last Friday. Anas replied that he did not know. Volume 2, Book 17, number 127, narrated by Sharik Anas bin Malik, said, a person entered the mosque on a Friday, through the gate facing the Dar al-Qada, and Allah's apostle was standing delivering the khutbah, sermon. The man stood in front of Allah's apostle and said, "O Allah's apostle, livestock are dying and the roads are cut off. Please pray to Allah for rain." So Allah's apostle, p.b.u.h, raised both his hands and said, "O Allah, bless us with rain. O Allah, bless us with rain. O Allah, bless us with rain." Anas added, "By Allah, there were no clouds in the sky, and there was no house or building between us and the mountain of Silas. Then a big cloud like a shield appeared from behind it, that Silas mountain, and when it came in the middle of the sky, it spread and then rained. By Allah, we could not see the sun for a week. The next Friday a person entered through the same gate, and Allah's apostle was delivering the Friday khutbah, and the man stood in front of him and said, "O Allah's apostle, the livestock are dying and the roads are cut off. Please pray to Allah to withhold rain." Anas added, Allah's apostle raised both his hands and said, "O Allah, round about us and not on us, O Allah, on the plateaus, on the mountains, on the hills, in the valleys, and on the places where trees grow." Anas added, the rain stopped and we came out walking in the sun. Sharik asked Anas whether it was the same person who had asked for rain the previous Friday. Anas replied that he did not know. Volume 2, Book 17, number 128, narrated by Qatada Anas. I said, while Allah's apostle, p.b.u.h, was delivering the Friday khutbah, sermon, a man came and said, "O Allah's apostle, rain is scarce. Please ask Allah to bless us with rain." So he invoked Allah for it, and it rained so much that we could hardly reach our homes, and it continued raining till the next Friday. Anas further said, then the same or some other person stood up and said, "O Allah's apostle, invoke Allah to withhold the rain." On that, Allah's apostle, I said, "O Allah, round about us and not on us." Anas added, I saw the clouds dispersing right and left, and it continued to rain, but not over Medina. Volume 2, Book 17, number 129, narrated by Anas. A man came to the Prophet, p.b.u.h, and said, livestock are destroyed and the roads are cut off. So Allah's apostle invoked Allah for rain, and it rained from that Friday till the next Friday. The same person came again and said, houses have collapsed, roads are cut off, and the livestock are destroyed. Please pray to Allah to withhold the rain. Allah's apostle stood up and said, "O Allah, let it rain on the plateaus, on the hills, in the valleys, and over the places where trees grow." So the clouds cleared away from Medina as clothes are taken off. Volume 2, Book 17, number 130, narrated by Anas bin Malik. A man came to Allah's apostle and said, "O Allah's apostle, livestock are destroyed and the roads are cut off, so please invoke Allah." So Allah's apostle prayed, and it rained. from that Friday to the next Friday. Then he came to Allah's apostle Dan and said, "O Allah's apostle, houses have collapsed, roads are cut off, and the livestock are destroyed." So Allah's apostle, p.b.u.h, prayed, "O Allah, let it rain on the tops of mountains, on the plateaus, in the valleys, and over the places where trees grow." So the clouds cleared away from Medina as clothes are taken off. Volume 2, Book 17, number 131. Narrated by Anas bin Malik. IP man complained to the Prophet about the destruction of livestock and property and the hunger of the offspring. So he invoked Allah for rain. The narrator, Anas, did not mention that the Prophet had worn his cloak inside out or faced the Qibla. Volume 2, Book 17, number 132, narrated by Anas bin Malik. A man came to Allah's apostle and said, "O Allah's apostle, livestock are destroyed and the roads are cut off, so please invoke Allah." So Allah's apostle prayed for rain, and it rained from that Friday till the next Friday. Then a man came to the Prophet, p.b.u.h, and said, "O Allah's apostle, the houses have collapsed, roads are cut off, and the livestock are destroyed." So Allah's apostle said, "O Allah, let it rain, on the tops of the mountains, on the plateaus, in the valleys, and over the places where trees grow, to ye." So the clouds cleared away from Medina as clothes are taken off. Volume 2, Book 17, number 133, narrated by Masruq. One day I went to Ibn Masud, who said, "When Quraysh delayed in embracing Islam, the Prophet I invoked Allah to curse them, so they were afflicted with a famine year, because of which many of them died, and they ate the carcasses. And Abu Sufyan came to the Prophet and said, 'O Muhammad, you came to order people to keep good relation with kith and kin, and your nation is being destroyed, so invoke Allah one.' So the Prophet I recited the holy verses of Sirat ad-Dukhan, then watch you for the day that the sky will bring forth a kind of smoke plainly visible." 44.10. When the famine was taken off, the people renegade once again as non-believers. The statement of Allah in Surah ad-Dukhan, -44, refers to that, "On the day when we shall seize you with a mighty grasp," 44.16, and that was what happened on the day of the Battle of Badr. Asbath added on the authority of Mansur, Allah's apostle prayed for them, and it rained heavily for 7 days. So the people complained of the excessive rain. The Prophet said, "O Allah, let it rain around us and not on us." So the clouds dispersed over his head, and it rained over the surroundings. Volume 2, Book 17, number 134. Narrated by Anas, Allah's apostle. I was delivering the khutbah sermon on a Friday when the people stood up, shouted, and said, "O Allah's apostle, there is no rain, drought. The trees have dried and the livestock are destroyed. Please pray to Allah for rain." So Allah's apostle said twice, "O Allah, bless us with rain." By Allah, there was no trace of cloud in the sky, and suddenly the sky became overcast with clouds, and it started raining. The Prophet came down the pulpit and offered the prayer. When he came back from the prayer to his house, it was raining, and it rained continuously till the next Friday. When the Prophet started delivering the Friday khutbah sermon, the people started shouting and said to him, "The houses have collapsed and the roads are cut off, so please pray to Allah to withhold the rain." So the Prophet smiled and said, "O Allah, round about us and not on us." So the sky became clear over Medina, but it kept on raining over the outskirts of Medina, and not a single drop of rain fell over Midian. I looked towards the sky, which was as bright and clear as a crown. Volume 2, Book 17, number 135, narrated by Abbas bin Tamim. That his uncle, who was one of the companions of the Prophet, had told him, "The Prophet went out with the people to invoke Allah for rain for them. He stood up and invoked Allah for rain, then faced the Qibla and turned his cloak inside out, and it rained." Volume 2, Book 17, number 136, narrated by Abbas bin Tamim from his uncle, who said, "The